You're listening to Well, I Laughed, Part 3 of Within These Walls, listener episode.
Hi. Hello. Hey, I'm Grant.
And I'm Maia, and Grant's also insecure about the way he starts things now.
Just realized I have like an opening chord.
Yeah.
Great. Let's go ahead and start with Rose and Bud. I have Rose and Bud in one example.
And no thorns?
Isn't that what? Oh, it's petal and thorn. What is
It's
it?
rose, petal, bud, and thorn. I don't know.
It might actually be Rose and Thorn.
That's what I've done. You seem
Okay.
to be confident about the bud.
Sometimes people go peach and pit, and I think that's kind of cute.
Yeah, that's cute.
It's the same example. My rose is that my dear friend Sophie gifted us some very nice libations to drink.
Really nice.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Take a sip before bad luck. And then my thorn is that the reason why she gifted it to me is because she is preparing a move. And I am a little tore up on it, to be completely honest. We got a chance to see a movie today,
That's
and
good.
it was really good.
I thought you were supposed to go yesterday. Or was it?
No, it was always today.
Wednesday.
So we went to a movie today. That was great. And then she was like, sweet, come back to my place. I have gifts to give you. And then it was alcohol and plants, which
She's leaving at the end of June?
I don't think she has a hard date yet for when she's
Okay.
leaving, but there's a decent chance that when this episode is published, she will be in her new location. And so cheers to her. I have one more rose, but I'll save that for after Maia.
I didn't know that we were doing this exercise, so
Cool.
that seems
I'll
fucked
use
up.
one more rose
Yeah.
to give Maia a little bit of what we call in the biz think time.
Okay.
My rose was after doing a double Patreon episode 2 days ago.
Oh, yeah?
I had tossed a couple of tea bags in the trash can, and as I left, I tossed one more, and I go, are we going to talk about the party-sized tray of sushi you clearly ate by yourself? And I turn around, and Maia is like on the floor, like crying, laughing. Because I had seen it so many times, I think she had kind of gotten away with it without anyone calling her on it. And I was
really
feeling
did.
sassy after
I
two
really did.
really good Patreon
I
episodes.
thought I was good, and my immediate reaction was no.
Honestly, it made me hungry for sushi, and you were like, well, hell yeah, girl, get your tits out. And I was like, it's 9:45 p.m., and that does not fit in this week's financial plans.
I don't know. Money's not real.
What is money these days?
What is money?
Who am I?
I have a lot of thorns right now. Oh, Rose is one of my one of my surprise new favorite coworkers that I talked about, I think, on a Patreon recently, is back. And
I love it.
He's great. And he just keeps coming out with these zingers, and I'm about it. Thorn, I tried to walk the dogs, and I did get to shower after my workout because I already accidentally got a shower when I tried to go for a walk, and then it started pouring down rain.
Like shower levels amount of rain.
Yeah, it was like sprinkling, and I was like, okay, maybe I can like get in a short walk. I'll just like walk around the block. I got like halfway around the block before I had to start running back because it was raining so hard. So that was fun. And then at my workout, I don't know why Maia 45 has decided that we're doing high rocks prep for like ever now on Wednesdays. Whoever this is a message now to whoever prescribed that workout.
Warning.
Whoever prescribed the 3.5 minutes of burpees, I'm coming for you. I'm not fucking around with this shit. It was, so each station was 2 exercises, right? The main one and then the one that you do it after. And so they gave you like a target goal of reps for the first workout. And so the first one was double burpee or double push-up burpees. And then you had to do 20 of those. And then the way that it goes is that after you do that, then you move on to the next exercise, which for other ones, it was like, go to the rower, go to the skier, or like do the sled push or something, like something very different from the original workout. No, this one was just regular burpees.
Just keep burping.
Just keep doing burpees until you die. Like 3.5 minutes? No.
Its new catchphrase. Its new catchphrase is the few, the proud, the F-45 people instead of the Marines.
I should have known something was wrong when there were, get this, literally 5 people signed up for class. Like the max is like 27, y'all. Like Tuesdays are usually completely booked at the time that I go. 5. Like they didn't even bother waiting for us to show up. They just checked us all in because they were like, because if you're like don't show up, you get like a late fee or whatever. And they were just like,
you literally have to come for us to offer this class. So
Yeah.
go ahead and get here. When did you find out how many burpees you were going to be required of? Like beforehand or as you showed up?
I found out as I showed up because the High Rocks workouts aren't like the HQ prescribed workout for Wednesday. So my usual source to find out what the workout is not reliable. And so I thus don't know. And I think my gym is figuring out that once they post on their Instagram stories that it's going to be a High Rocks workout, no one shows up. So I was looking at their Instagrams all day, like, is it going to be a High Rocks workout? Is it going to be a High Rocks workout? And they didn't post anything. And I was like, maybe it's not going to be. It was a fucking High Rocks workout.
Yeah, you and I had different days because as you're doing that, I'm across town at our district debate practice. And today, I'm just going to go ahead and toss this up to you. What's your reaction? Should a liberal arts education be prefed over like a job training education system?
Like a apprenticeship kind of, or like a technical job
As
training?
we were to tell our debate kids, please define it as you would like.
Should a liberal arts degree be preferenced over a job?
Liberal arts education.
Liberal arts education. I think it should be maybe. I don't know. That's hard. What the fuck?
Right. So our kids got like 50 minutes to prep it with nothing but a dictionary and a world.
Was this World
like,
Schools?
Facts. Yeah, World Schools. And they put together some interesting stuff. It was very U.S. centric, very U.S. college based centric. And so like the debate was interesting, but at the end of it, we were like, me and the other coaches, we were asking the kids questions like, what would a liberal arts education look like for a fresh democracy? Like, what does it look like for international countries and societies who are like perhaps new to trying to be a democratic state? Or conversely, what does a job training program look like for countries with developing economies that are moving away from like resource extraction?
Like us.
Right. Yeah. Like how do you weigh some of those things? Because neither of you weighed it at all because you didn't bring it up at all. And so by the time we got to the 50th minute of talking about like, should you be a STEM or an English major in college? The horse been beat. You know?
Horse been beat.
And it's like, you got to leave those kind of practices being like, yeah, I really did some work today.
Yeah.
And it's like, is all I did was listen to high schoolers share their thoughts and be like, wrong, but in a more nuanced way than you.
See,
Good
I wish
job.
there was like an intersection between liberal arts degrees and STEM degrees. Some STEM people could use.
What
more,
are you? Team proposition, and then 2 speeches later, team opposition.
See, we all had the same thought, and no one knows how to execute. So
it's been a good first day of summer break. First day I did not have to report. Yes, first day I officially did not need to report to my school.
Just a different school.
Right, reported to a different school, and then you coached a bunch of kids from across the district, but it was good. It was a lot of fun. And you know, tomorrow's going to be a super easy day. I just got to go to IKEA, and then I got to go to REI to pick up some stuff, and I have a scheduled lunch, and I need to get ahead of some of my researching, and I'd like to get to the gym because everything's so rainy and soggy. So just like 5 different separate events that are going to take an hour.
That sounds so pleasant, though. It sounds so nice.
It'll start at 10, so in that way it is really pleasant.
Yeah, increasingly we're in that season of Colorado weather where it just like rains, you know, sometimes, which is great, sure, I guess. But my work site is still not recovered from the last big rainstorm, and I'm so sick of my muddy ass boots every time I walk around everywhere. So every time it rains, I'm like, oh, this is nice, and then I'm like, oh, tomorrow morning's gonna fucking suck. It always waits until our tire tracks have kind of like packed down the dirt enough that you can walk in the tire tracks and not get like super, super muddy. And then it just rains again. So it's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Oh, little lady.
We're going to pause for 10 seconds.
Yeah, you're good. What are you looking for?
You'll see.
Okay.
I can't wait to play this because I don't think it's what I'm looking for.
Uh-oh.
Nope. I was trying to play that like Civil War museum of like, no, 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 no. Dearest Martha, the rain continues to fall, right? It's going to be a whole bit, and I am proving time and time again an inability to find what I'm looking for on Spotify in any kind of quick or easy way.
Just start blaming it on Spotify.
No, I mean, it's also like my lack of musical knowledge.
Oh, I mean, fair.
I kept typing in different ways to spell the word Shenandoah, and I'm that was a battle in the Civil War, and I'm so positive
I thought you were talking about that was a battle like trying to spell Shenandoah, and I was like, oh.
Maybe that's where we cut in. Maybe we cut in here.
Maybe it's a nursery.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I get a chance to celebrate a friend's wedding this weekend out in Utah, and I'm super excited about it. They are a listener, so I'm going to shout
We
them
literally
out.
just got a cameo. Sorry.
Hilarious. Want to shout out now before I head out. My friend Adriana, who teaches at a school
yeah.
here, and I'll keep the rest of that information anonymous to protect,
Oh,
her,
yeah.
her own identity. But thank you for inviting me. I'm super excited to get a chance to celebrate you. And the reason why I'm like drawing this out is because there are two different people also going to this wedding that I'm excited to hang out with both separately. But the idea of them both being in the same room at the same time is kind of like blowing my mind.
Yeah, I can't imagine them interacting.
Right. So my friend Danny
Yes.
is in the groom's
His
party.
friend.
What is that called? The groom. He's a groomsman.
Yeah.
There we go. He might be the best man. I kind of forget. And then my friend Betsy, who coaches and is here in the Denver metro area, is on the bride's side.
Oh,
And
really?
I love them
Oh, that's
both.
so funny.
Yes, I love them both individually, and also have like, again, the three of us have never occupied the same airspace.
Yeah.
Betsy has invited me to spend the first night
Mm-hmm.
at her family's home in Grand Junction, and I was like, oh. And she goes, my parents are going to be gone. And I go, amazing.
yes.
Yes. And then she was like, if you want, you're welcome to spend the next night too. I just have to get to the wedding a little early because of the
Yeah.
festivities and stuff. And I go, thank you so much. I love that so much. 0% chance I'm staying at your parents' house with you not there. Like, that's not happening at all.
I love that shit.
I will sleep outside before. Like, I can't touch anything. Where are your forks? I have no idea where
I would be
anything is.
snooping.
Let's go ahead and reflect on that a little bit
No.
more. Your home is our home when I am here.
I just like seeing how people set up their spaces, you know? It's fun. I'm not going to like open your drawers and shit, but I am going to walk around.
Speaking of leisure activities, so
Stalking.
while we're in Grand Junction, before we then finish the rest of the journey into Utah, my friend
I keep
Betsy and
forgetting it's
I.
in Utah. In my
Yeah.
head, it's in Estes Park for some reason.
It's definitely not. That would
Yeah.
be a lot closer, but that's okay. I love the desert.
Yeah.
Desert in the summer. How fun. It has proven a challenge for figuring out outfits, but believe you me, my gay ass is equipped to figure out this puzzle.
Do you have any linen?
Listener, she asked if I have any linen. Of course I have linen.
Casey doesn't. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm also not shocked Casey doesn't have linen.
He actually might, but they're from a long time ago. Now I want linen. Anyway.
So linen for the desert.
Yeah.
Linen for the desert.
Groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking, thank you. On Saturday morning, Betsy and I are thinking about hitting up some wineries on the western slope. Yes.
That sounds nice.
Here's the really dangerous thing. The only time I've ever really properly done wine tasting is when I am like significantly far away from my own home and have to take like a plane
to get there. But this one will be like in the Palisades
Yes.
area.
And then like we're going to Moab, which is just across
Yeah.
the border, which means I could buy literally any bottle of wine I want and like very
Be fine,
conveniently
yeah.
bring it home. And I've never had that as an option before.
And also in Utah, you can't buy alcohol at some certain times, so it's best to stock
I
up.
think you could just say in Utah you can't buy alcohol. I think that's a sentence you can say out loud.
Yeah. Kind of.
But that means one of the things I need to pack is the gift I got for being an usher at Jacob and Lydia's wedding, which is it's the shape of a wine bottle, but it has a screw top and it's like insulated but made out of like
incredible.
a metal, like a
Yeah.
steel of some kind. So in other words, you can pour an entire bottle of red wine
I'm
into it.
obsessed with that. I
seal
can
it,
picture it.
and take it
Yeah.
camping.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It also does help remember their anniversary because it's like engraved with their anniversary. It
there
was
it
their
is.
like wedding gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. I usually use it just to transport whiskey, but now I might also use it for wine.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I have a gift from, well, not really even a gift. Something I like thought I was stealing, and then the wedding planner was like, "No, keep it. Like it's yours." Because
It's a centerpiece.
yeah, no, it's a little like a poofy bag that just says "Flower Girl" on it. Because I, at the ripe age of 25, I think, was Flower Girl for my cousin's wedding, and Casey and I are for hire if you want. That was a great experience. We will be dipping out before any other socialization happens, but it'll be so fun. Yeah.
This wedding I'm going to, it has admittedly posed a couple of logistical challenges.
Well,
But-
Utah in the summer.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I am actually, now that I'm getting closer to it, really excited about a wedding in a format that I have not really
Yeah.
experienced before. I don't need every wedding to be unique. If you were
No.
thinking about inviting Maia and I for hire to your wedding, we will come.
Grant's an usher. I'm flower girl.
I love that. Yes, we will pretend to be lifelong friends, and we will convince your other friends that you have been friends with award-winning podcasters.
Yes, and I will actually tackle anyone you need to the ground.
Correct.
It's been a lifelong dream. Or spill red wine on someone who wears a white dress.
Right.
Ugh.
I want you to know that, like, other than free admittance into your wedding, you don't really need to cover anything else. You just need
We
to
just
also
want
to be okay with us
the
making
adventure.
content
Yeah.
at it's Wedding Crashers, but
Yeah.
we're invited.
Yeah.
I'd watch it. Anyways,
So I would watch that buddy comedy, but it's us.
we asked like an aunt, like, hey, can you get a photo of
Yeah.
us? But it's actually on video. And then it's just you and I talking to each other as the aunt voiceover. I don't know. Is it
I don't
supposed
understand.
to? Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. The original point
Yeah.
had been, that was good though. We're just so full of good ideas.
We're just, I've been.
Let's write that down. Write it down.
Write that down. Trademark. Yeah, I'm increasingly considering, I mean, not quitting my job, but like, you know, there are other ventures
careers.
that I'm like, I could be really good at that. And me and one of my other coworkers the other day, she has her brother is getting married. And then she's been invited to be on the bride's side as like a bridesmaid, but she doesn't know who is going to be her sister-in-law that well. But she ended up having to plan a lot of the bachelorette party because people kept suggesting things. And she was like, from the few times I've met her, I know she doesn't want that. And then me and her were like, you know, we could do this. You and I could do it. We'll buy an Airbnb and then we'll just DD people around the city and it'll be great. We could just plan people's bachelorette parties.
I want you to know,
Yeah.
and I feel comfortable saying this on main episode.
yeah.
I can put this on the story, you know, because there's main and there's close friends, right? Not all posts are for everybody.
Yeah.
This feels like for most people.
Yeah.
One of the biggest reasons why I did not get you strippers on your bachelorette party is because the idea of interacting with strangers while under any substance other than sober is a nightmare to you, and I didn't want to put you in that kind of social position.
I think it would have been funny. I also think it would have been anxiety inducing. So one
Do
day,
I pet it?
Yeah. Am I allowed to touch? One day I want to go to Chippendales. That is like a
Yeah.
lifelong dream. But it definitely wasn't a bachelorette party thing. It feels too cliche.
So for an extra $100, we will come to your bachelor or bachelorette party, and I will crowdsource from your friends the name of all your exes. And when we hire strippers, name them all after your exes. Please welcome the man who gave you an STI. It's Jonathan.
Wait a minute. Wait a goddamn
Again,
minute.
so full of good ideas.
You're good for the nightlife. I'm good for the daytime activities.
Yeah.
And I think together we make a whole bachelorette party.
I am naming strippers as they walk in.
Yeah.
You are standing 100 feet away from their dad's casket at their funeral in all black under an umbrella.
Yeah.
Like that is the spectrum of existence that we... All this is to say, if you want to invite us to a wedding, they don't all have to be unique. It's sometimes nice to be able to just grab the outfit I wear to weddings, book the flight from the airport that I fly out of, and then stay at the La Quinta Inn that your wedding party has a block in. Like, that's also a wonderful weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Not everything needs to be a shooting star.
And Grant and I are pros at going places and not making a whole fucking deal of it. We're like, well, we have that thing later tonight, so I think it's nap time.
I think we probably just kind of hang out here for a little bit.
There's air conditioning.
Literally, last wedding I went to, the one in February,
Yeah.
we're at brunch at like 9:30, and I was like, I'm probably going to order potatoes now because this is the last food I'm eating until 7 p.m. tonight. So let's go ahead and get this figured out. And they're like, that's super unhealthy. And I'm like, photos happen at the start of the wedding, never at the end. I know what I'm doing.
Never at the end, unless you're drunk me at one of my friends' weddings and I tried to improv a group activity.
Good.
Did I tell you about this?
I don't think so.
When they were doing their walkout at the end of the wedding, I tried to video it, and I don't remember this. I was hammered, and Casey luckily was standing to my left, and I tried to pass the video to Casey and was like, tell people to pass it down the line so we can get a video of them walking. Casey was like, no.
The reason why I remember that story as you shared it is because when you originally shared it, you were like, anyways, 10 minutes later, I'm vomiting on the side of this interstate, being like, go slower.
Yeah. And also accusing Casey of like apparently at one point I just fully got out of the car and was like, I'll find my way home because clearly you don't want to hang out with me right now. Like, I'm a fucking menace. That's why I don't drink as much anymore, you guys. That's why I mainly do other things. I get real dramatic.
That's true. The other stuff you do does really seem to slow you down.
And really calm me down, too, and just make things a lot funnier.
I just love how you have just... And this happens when you get older with so many different things.
Yeah.
Life just becomes the towel you throw for the bird's cage to convince it's nighttime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you know that trick also works on children?
I am increasingly concerned about how you know that fact.
If you've ever had a teacher that was like, if you guys listen really good during instructions, I'll turn off most of the lights and we can open the blinds during work time. What they were doing is if you shut the up right now, I will then create a situation in this room where your body tries to go to sleep for a little bit. Both work for me.
Yeah.
You at no point it was a scam. Yeah. Because I know potentially less work's going to get done. I also know definitely less behavior issues going to get done. And if less work gets done, well, babes, that's just your responsibility when you get home.
Hell yeah, brother.
I survived to the next period.
It is a survival of the fittest kind of situation, yeah.
And a handful of times that next period then walks in as that period walks out. And they're like, oh, sweet. Do you need us to turn on the lights, mister? Or like, what? And I'm like, no, you can just keep them off from the start. We can just kind of stay.
We can just keep this as it is.
Maia, please include this part real quick.
Man.
So, listener, real quick, we're just in the process of picking tonight's stories, and Casey came down to collect Maia. Oh, Casey came down to collect Monet.
Apparently, I'm a three-legged dog. Such a specific insult.
And Monet was like very clearly more interested in staying than she was going. And it just absolutely reminded me of when I was a kid and my mom would make hors d'oeuvres because people were coming over and she'd have to be like, do not eat these. They are not for you. I will give you a small plate to sample hors d'oeuvres right before the party starts and then lock you in the basement essentially. But like, do not eat these. And I think that's why I love Chili's Anytimer, like triple dipper, whatever it's called. They're like select 3 appetizers.
That sounds nice. This is, this is from our friend Whitney, she, her.
Hey, Whitney.
Hey, Whitney. I don't think this is the first time she's written into us. This is a story for Within These Walls.
Okay.
She says, hey, she, her, and you can use my name. Not much of a story, but this theme announcement had me laughing to myself every time you've said it because I immediately thought of a prank we played on my mom when I was in high school.
Good. That makes me really good. Good. Yeah. That sounds great.
My family had just moved into this old Victorian-style house built in 1902 that had been vacant for 10 years before us.
Okay.
Terrifying.
Yep.
So moving in required gutting many asbestos-filled walls, rewiring all electrical work, new plumbing, etc. I hate that.
So they just basically like the face, but like they were like, I can change him.
Yeah, literally. They're like, I can fix him. Yeah. Every time we helped tear out a wall, my dad, siblings, and I would always tell my mom, what if we find a dead body in this wall?
Sorry, just like with the way that this story's already going,
yeah,
I'm
don't like it.
What if we found a dead body in this wall?
And my mom would get so mad because she was actually afraid we might, LOL. We never did, but I thought it was funny to tease my mom. Oh, no. Oh, Whitney.
Good.
Oh,
yes.
Whitney, no. Oh,
good.
My anxiety is spiking.
Listen, as a teacher, I want to tell you this is an important part of the learning process.
As
hubris.
Someone who experienced mothers, less so. We never did, but thought it would be funny to tease my mom. So one day I found an old doll, parentheses, I don't remember if it was one of my old toys or if I bought it. And I placed it in a tiny, oddly shaped attic room that had a small circular window overlooking the yard.
You heard, by the way, that the doll Annabelle is missing, right? Okay, just for
No,
context.
no,
Continue.
No. I pointed this out to Grant a couple weeks ago, I think, or maybe like last week, and I was like, "Did you hear Annabelle the doll?" And he was like, "Yeah, we've gotten a lot of it from the podcast." And I was like, "What if she comes for us?" And he was like, "I think she has a lot of other people to take care of first." And that did actually give me a lot of comfort.
That's good. I'm landing on good. That's good that gave you comfort.
I'm not like, I don't necessarily know if I believe that she is an alive haunted doll, but I am terrified of finding out.
Listen, the way I handled that news was like, well, I would never collect old timey dolls. So like, why would it be in my house? Continue.
We literally live like several blocks from a doll hospital.
Which I'm pretty sure it's closed.
That makes it worse, actually, I think. An operating doll hospital seems less.
I'm hearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does seem worse.
Yeah. Especially on a major boulevard in like a popular area of Denver.
Imagine going to sleep in your bed and waking up in the doll hospital.
No.
I'm full of good
No.
ideas for movies.
Good ideas.
For movies. It's terrifying.
Whatever.
And every night you wake up in the doll hospital.
Can I read my story?
Please.
I need some space.
I'm afraid where this thought is going to go.
Yeah, I am too. But I'm also like, need to know where it ends.
Where we left off in the story, there's a doll staring out a window
There's a
in the
doll
attic.
staring out a window, a small circular shaped window overlooking the yard. Parentheses, the attic room is now a closed off wall. I actually really deeply hate that, Whitney. I need you to know. So if you looked up from outside, you would see a tiny porcelain doll head staring at you. My mom clocked it immediately and threw it away, which just made it funnier to me. Maybe I was a mean teenager, but I still think it's funny, and I love hiding things in the walls whenever a wall gets opened so someone can find a little present someday. Love the pod. Hope you two have a fabulous day.
Have you love that so much. The way I know I at least would fish the doll out of the trash can and put it elsewhere, but this time like in
as the
the
mom?
Closet. No, as the child.
Yeah.
As soon as I found out, as the mom too, that's like a fun angle for sure.
Yeah.
I love that.
Hate that.
Hold on.
Deeply hate that.
Give me a second. Oh, second thing I was going to say to you. And you've listened to enough podcasts that you probably know this.
Sure.
But for like a really long time, medicine cabinets had like a little slit in them that after you were done using a razor and it had gotten dull, you could just put it in there.
Yeah, I want to know who started doing that,
Right.
because it's like, what did you think was gonna happen?
Well, let's just go ahead and store it literally in the wall.
wall,
of this
so you can
house.
open up walls of old houses and find just like a stockpiling of razors, which is horrifying.
Yeah, horrifying, kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
Like someone once said, it's a perfect analogy for that generation because they're like, I'm just going to put this here and it'll be someone else's problem later.
Yeah. Have you seen the TikTok trend of people like renovating houses and they're just hiding like Halloween skeletons in them?
No.
Hysterical. I would never recover if I accidentally stumbled upon one of those.
That I know
Yeah.
to be true.
Yeah, but whatever.
Okay, so this is from our friend Kyle. Great, we can use his name. Hi, Maia Grant / and Grant and Maia /
Sorry, which one did he say first?
He definitely said you first. And extra points, spelled your name correctly.
That's good. That's good.
Longtime OG listener of the podcast, but first time writing in. I've been waiting to write for quite some time now, but never had the courage to. Kyle, yes.
Yes.
Choose you, babes. Choose you.
Choose to have your stories read for the general public.
You can use my name Kyle in the story and my pronouns are he, him. Listen, I don't want to make it sound like I'm running affirmative action for men, especially potentially straight white men.
Yeah.
But every now and then when we get a boy story, I'm like, well, what is going on in this?
What did you have to say that you were like, let me put this in an email?
Exactly.
Usually this gets bottled up and then
Right.
never opened again.
There's just, and here's the thing too, sometimes I'll like open up stories and be like, is this a boy story? And it's like, hi, I'm a non-binary story. In fact, that's statistically more common than our boy stories. So I'm like, really, what is going on here? You
It's
know?
true. It's true.
All stories are welcome, but like some you're like, wait, this never crosses
Wait,
our
huh?
plate. Right, exactly. Hopefully it doesn't make Kyle feel more nervous about sending in stories.
Kyle, we're here for it. You gotta trust the process.
Before I get into my story, I wanted to say thank you for making my drives to and from my work such a joy. My ex-girlfriend, potentially heterosexual listener too,
You are a minority.
With the way the pool is getting smaller and smaller.
Wow.
My ex-girlfriend showed me your podcast 2 years ago, and I've been in love ever since.
Although not with your ex-girlfriend.
Here's the next sentence. I still miss her every day. In parentheses, ended on good terms. I don't mean to speak over you. This entire paragraph has stories out of stories coming out of it.
I'm gonna let it happen.
My ex-girlfriend showed me your podcast 2 years ago, and I've been in love ever since. I still miss her every day. Parentheses, ended on good terms.
Okay.
But it just wasn't working for her any longer. End of parentheses.
Okay.
Your podcast is a way I still feel connected to her, so I thank you very much for that. Here's the thing, babes. And I know it was bad, the relationship that you're thinking about. I know ultimately not good for the garden of my soul.
I love that you think I was thinking about you.
I always think you're thinking about me.
I know.
What I was trying to say is I still use the face wash that he recommended me. And not every time.
That's just good skincare.
Right, no, I put it on and I go, wow, that relationship really taught me a lot about myself. Can't beat the skincare routine though. I'm just like, it's like one of those moments where it's like, wow, we really are changed by the people that we come across in our lives. Like, wow, like everyone does leave a mark on us.
Meanwhile, from my ex, I learned my love of Domino's pizza with adding extra sauce on it. And also their chocolate lava cakes.
I love you.
Yeah.
I love what a revelation is to you. Because for the first relationship, it's like, wow, the skincare routine, awesome.
Yeah.
Second relationship that also left some permanent damage. When I see someone has been making donuts in a parking lot after a snowfall, I know now that's actually pretty fun.
Sorry,
I hate to be like a bearer of like bad behavior, but it was actually pretty
fun. This is how uncool I am. When you said making donuts after a snowstorm, I was like, why the fuck would you be making donuts after a snowstorm? Like literally making the pastry donut is what I was thinking.
No, it's when you get the back wheels of the car.
Yeah, no, I know now.
Yeah.
I put two and two together because I was like, nope, that's not adding.
And here's how my little brain can kind of edit these memories.
Yeah.
So one of the times we did it, one of the first times, he rolled down both windows, like kind of all windows and the sunroof to his car. So as we like spun, like the snow
was
blew
coming in.
in. And in my mind, I remember this moment as a Lana Del Rey song is playing. In reality, it was an Imagine Dragons song playing, which, listen, here's the thing, did fit the theme at the time,
yeah.
But in the mind's eye afterwards, it's a Lana Del Rey song.
Lana Del Rey is much more nostalgic
100%
than Imagine Dragons. So anyway, I'm
Let's get back to
concerned about Kyle a little bit.
That was a good little break.
Kyle, I want you to know I'm saying this with love, okay? Men will literally do what you're doing right now. And please don't stop listening to the podcast because I think...
We literally will send him an email, direct him to listen to this episode.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
I know. You just... Okay, whatever. That first paragraph, I think, maybe needs some work,
Love's
some self-reflection.
Always a blessing, and I'm glad that you still sit in its light. Because the eyes can't sin for okay, so
mine can't sin for what the eyes can't see. Is the quote that
the
he
way
said.
I'm going to whisper it to you one night this summer eve, I'm going to whisper it to you.
If you think I'm sleeping anywhere close to you,
so funny.
You're sorely mistaken.
It's going to be when we're in Canada.
Yeah,
okay,
I know.
Sorry for the sob story, and on to the juicy stuff.
It's not a sob story. It is just a little concerning.
It's not a sob story. And Kyle, this is actually the juicy stuff.
Yeah.
When you guys are like, here's my messy little life. We're like, yes, king, queen, or non-binary ruler.
Yeah.
Like, we love that.
Ruler.
Okay.
I love it.
I figured if you wanted to link the story with a theme, it would probably fit best with the Law and Order episodes, but the title of the email is a not so happy 25th birthday. Story time.
I'm trying to red string this all together.
Wow. So I say okay a lot. Anyways, that was its own paragraph. I am, at the time of the writing of this story, a 32-year-old male. When I was 24, about to turn 25, I was still living with my parents at home in Michigan.
Okay.
I met up with two of my closest friends at the time. We will give them fake names. If you want to name them, please go ahead. He does not name them. Okay, so we have to name them.
Actually do have to name them. I was like, it'll be definitely technically easier if we just...
His name is Kyle.
Okay. Chris.
And Chris?
Jason.
Because it kind of cuts both ways. Chris is the girl's name in this story?
I didn't know that there were two different genders.
One is a guy and one is a girl.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention.
I like Jason.
Jason.
Kyle and Jason feels like a natural match.
Chrissy.
Kyle, Jason, and Chrissy. Nice. Yeah. Okay. We met up at a secret location in my neighborhood and partake in some leafy activities.
I feel you so hard, Kyle.
And I
already.
increasingly feel you a little bit.
Grant and I had a lovely night camping.
Really got out of my bubble.
Yeah. Looked at the stars. Grant, I said, and I quote, I just love science. And I went, Jesus Christ, are you okay?
I'm like, yeah, have you ever been on this level before? Get on my level, Maia. So at the time in Michigan, this was how do you say, not legal, but but we've all been there before. So we drove in my car and parked in a dead-end spot of my neighborhood to just hang before it turned midnight, and it was my birthday. Kind of gorgeous. Love that.
That's adorable. Yeah.
We had the lights off and just chatting and partaking with the music on very, very low so we wouldn't disturb anyone that might hear us.
Hell yeah.
After about 45 minutes, I randomly saw a flicker of light in the rearview mirror.
Nope.
I immediately turned the radio off and told everyone to be completely silent. I asked if they saw anything. They said no, and we continued to quietly discuss what it was. 30 seconds later, we would find out. About 6 to 7 cop cars with their lights quickly turned on, and we are now surrounded.
6 to 7 cop cars?
6 to 7 cop cars in the middle of the night just go bam, right on Kyle, Jason, and Chrissy.
No.
My heart started beating 1,000 times a second. I'm going to prison.
Yeah, that would be my thought too. 6 to 7 does feel excessive for a minor drug bust.
Yeah. So what's the year right now? Okay, so we're like, it's 2015. Oh yeah, you're definitely going to prison. 30 seconds later, we would find, oh, sorry, I said that. An officer walks up to my driver's side window and asks what we are doing. We tried to work around the partaking we had been doing, but it was too late.
Yeah.
Sure enough, 5 minutes later, I and my 2 friends are handcuffed and in the back of separate cop cars. To this day, this is in parentheses, to this day, I still don't know how I didn't have a full-blown panic attack.
Because you were partaking. I can answer that.
Because you're a little high.
Yeah.
We are then taken to the station for questioning, and this is where it gets juicy. Okay, so then I'm going to pause right here, right before it gets juicy.
This is where it gets juicy?
Like, when we say defund the police, this is what I'm talking about.
Why were there 7 of them? That's what I'm saying.
We don't need 6 to 14 police officers to arrest 3 consenting 25-year-olds who are partaking in something that's not going to harm anybody at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
We then don't need to spend the resources to bring them to an actual police station. Are you kidding me?
Give them a fine.
Listen, I know that political stance isn't going to shock anybody here,
Oh, God.
but it's like, surely there are things.
If they listen to us and then beyond that, listen to the listener episode, I think they know.
With us.
Yeah.
One fun thing on the way to the station was it was about to turn midnight. And I said, "Excuse me, officer, would you mind letting me know when it turns midnight? It's my birthday." My friends sitting next to me could see the time and softly sings the happy birthday song to me while we were both handcuffed just to try to lighten the mood.
That's so sad.
Right, that's beautiful.
I would read that book.
We really are on Earth, but for a moment, you know? Like, that's fucking crazy, man.
So sweet.
Become like my new favorite saying. I've said it to Jacob like twice in 3 days.
What is it?
We really are on Earth, but for a moment, you know?
You're going to love that this summer.
I really am.
Yeah.
I could have posted on Instagram after the family vacation, but it's just going to be but for a moment. Those who know. Okay, let's get back to it. I'm having fun.
I was thinking the music festival, but sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We are each taken to separate rooms at the station and handcuffed to the wall. There was,
because these are the criminals you have to worry about, guys.
There we just wait for what felt like an eternity and was probably 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We each speak to an officer of the, quote, law and tell them our story, which included where we got the partaking materials from.
Okay.
We are then taken out of handcuffs and told to, quote, never speak of what happened here.
What? That's illegal.
You should always speak about what happens with law enforcement.
Speak and speak loud.
Speak now, and then you will forever have peace.
Yeah.
Is kind of what it is.
What? That's so sketchy.
Also, we're told to call the detective in the morning to discuss what to do from here.
Literally, no. You're letting me go. You're never going to see me again.
Weird, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Very strange. Very, very strange.
Fast forward, because I'm not calling that detective in the morning.
No.
I'm waking up in the morning really conflicted by it, but my own internal self-preservation is saying they'll call you.
Exactly.
babes.
If they're worried about
They'll
it, you
call
can
you.
call me.
If they have the resources to drop 6 to 7
6 to
police
7
cars
is
on
wild.
a person quietly chatting in their car, they can get to you, babes.
Yeah. What?
Fast forward about 2 weeks when we had a meeting set up with the detective to discuss what would happen to us. The meeting consisted of him telling us we had 2 options. We could accept the charges placed in front of us and be documented into the system,
No.
or we could inform on where we got everything.
What?
I quickly volunteered for option 2.
Yeah.
In parentheses, I still hate having done this part.
No, I don't blame you.
Yeah, I don't either. For the next 5.5 months, I had to report every Monday to the detective
Shut the fuck
via text message and was a part of multiple sting operations to catch the person responsible for supplying us.
Oh my God. For weed?
I guess.
That's wild.
Yeah, like it's...
And so unserious.
We're going to look back today and be like, what a complete waste of public resources.
An absolute waste.
But here it comes. Little did we know at the time how big the person was. Not only were they selling leafy materials, but also much more illegal substances. So I don't actually feel as bad as I used to about it.
Okay.
At about the 5.5 month mark of doing this, every week I got a text message from the detective saying I would receive a text later that evening saying, quote, it's done, meaning they have arrested him and I would no longer have to report anymore and the charges on myself and my 2 friends would be dropped. Sure enough, at about 8 p.m. that night, I got said text message and it was over. Home free. In parentheses. Side note, I should mention that my friends and I like to do this thing where whenever we partook in the activity, one of us would record the audio on our phone and we called it the, quote, Hotbox Wednesday podcast.
Shut the fuck up.
I love so much you having a personal relationship with detectives for your weed charges and still smoking weed.
Yes. And also like recording like Watergate, like fully just recording the crime.
What if we recorded it and then saved it in a place accessible?
Yeah, it's giving that 70s show, you know, where they just do the like close up of the face anytime they're smoking. It's also just like, Kyle, I want you to know, I take back everything I said at the beginning about men will literally do this instead of go to therapy. Men will literally do what this fucking detective did before going to therapy. I'm sorry. Why'd you have to do that in the most dramatic ass way? It's done.
It's
what?
done.
Send me a fucking email like a goddamn adult. Why are you texting me?
Or just like, hey, truly low-level offender, if we even want to use the word offending here.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for helping us bring down a person who was distributing harmful drugs to people in your community.
Yeah.
They've been arrested.
Also, like,
it's done.
yeah, exactly. Or just like, thanks for your help. We got him. So also like to give that warning in advance, just like gives our friend here the ability to be like, oh, well, I didn't get a text, so that must mean they failed.
Yeah, it's giving, go to the Five Guys in town, ask for a large bag of fries. When it's filled with peanuts, you know your job is done.
It's like,
what are you talking about?
What do you mean? Why did you have to give me this whole fucking warning? Just tell me when it's over. I don't need to know, like...
Listen, sir, just because detecting things is your kink doesn't make it mine.
Yeah, stop forcing your kink on me, sir.
Always love to be able to use the word kink in the podcast.
Yeah,
so
it's
important.
Great. Yeah.
So that meant that because our phones were in the car at the time of our arrest, we got every single word of it on audio.
Of like them getting the text?
So
or
like,
when they got arrested?
When they were getting arrested originally.
so
they
funny.
were audio recording it.
I'm gonna need to hear that for science.
So every single word of it onto an audio, including after when the cops were searching our car.
Oh my God.
The
Oh my God.
best
Oh my God.
audio
Oh my
from
God.
it was this, and I quote, "The cops find a liquid cartridge pen and didn't know what it was."
Oh my God.
And one cop goes to another, quote, "Man, they're getting electronic with this shit." It's 2015. They're like, "What is this dab pen?"
I hate it here. I literally hate it here. Like, how are they receiving so much funding and they're not even doing education on what's up and coming in the drug world?
Holy shit, is this a drug or a lightsaber? It's a drug.
Don't talk about Stacy's dab like that.
I'm so sorry to offend Penny Jesuit. This is my story. Hope it wasn't too jumbled and you had a few laughs. Feel free to write me back with any questions you may have. And then in caps, so sorry for the long email. Kyle, this wasn't at all a long email.
No.
Love, Kyle.
We've received whole ass essays before. We've received things that could be published into short stories.
We've received Google Docs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we love it.
Oh, yeah. That's incredible, though. Okay. All right. We're back. We have new drinks.
We're refreshed. We're refilled.
We're refilled. We updated Casey on Grant's dating life, which I'm sure he was dying to know about.
He wasn't, but that's fine.
I kind of forced it on him.
We caught him in the middle of tasks he needed to do anyways, so
he's not leaving the kitchen.
Right, exactly. We love a multitasking king.
Yeah, and you can also learn about this man.
You've heard of a non-binary ruler before. What about a non-interested one?
Yeah. Now that's deep.
Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, good.
It really is good gin, though.
It is good gin.
Thanks, Sophie.
Gin. Thanks, Sophie. I miss you. I love you. Please don't leave us with Danny. I'm kidding. Can we trade? Do you think we can trade citizenships?
No, because I want to go visit her in the city that she's moving to.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It
Interesting
is.
take. Interesting take.
It is.
When?
Soon.
Oh. Man,
When she's moving or when am I visiting?
When are you visiting?
Much bigger of a question.
Okay, I was going to say soon feels like excessive.
Soon
but
feels soon, yeah.
I also just had to put all my PTO on the calendar, like updating for Yale and for the music festival we're going to and some other shit. And I was looking at the calendar and
One
I was
of those is much closer than the other.
and I was just kind of like, I don't know if I'm actually working any of July.
Good.
Anyway, you let me know when those dates are finalized for your thing.
Dates and numbers, babes, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. But it has been submitted. So this is from our friend Willow. Hi, Gant.
You know I hate that.
AKA Grant and Maia. It's spelled Gaiant. And he
Feels
says
like a lot of my name.
and they say, I'd like to imagine this is pronounced gay aunt. Not sure if that clicks for y'all.
When Giant was right there.
Are you calling me fat?
No, talking about like the I
You
and
saw
the
that.
A.
You all saw that.
There's not an N. That's tough.
I can do 3.5 minutes of burpees, kind of.
You and I both know I'm losing that fight.
Oh, and I also lost that fight. My best record was when I first started, and I did, I think, 7 in a row before I had to... And that was the beginning of the workout. So
since we're here at the very top of the email, I am curious.
So sorry, Willow.
When you're a gay uncle, you're a...
Gunkle.
Very good.
Yeah.
If you are a queer aunt, what are you? Are you a Gant or a Lant?
I think you're still a Gunkle. I'm not going to lie to you.
I think you're a Lant, but that's okay.
I just don't think aunt translates well into... what's the gender neutral term for aunt and uncle? It's nibbling or something.
Is it a nibbling?
There's two, one for niece and nephew, and then one for aunt and uncle, and one is nibbling, and the other is
Parent of cousin, I think. Kidding.
Parent of cousin. It's something that sounds like sibling, but with one letter change.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know it yet.
Anyway, whatever. Okay. You have permission to use my name, Willow. They are 26 and pronouns they, them. And then their fiance, Lee, who's 25, also they, them. Side note, my fiance doesn't listen to the podcast, but was elated when I mentioned telling the story of our very first date along for the theme movie magic.
I love stuff like this.
So this is for movie magic, and I'm just going to preface this now with this is an awkward date story, and I think we can all agree that that does happen within these walls. We don't talk about that again. That stays where it happened. So great job, Willow. You called it. You clocked it.
Kyle's story happens within these walls of a police station.
Exactly.
We're making it work.
We're making it work.
We got a lot of stuff for other themes. We're making these work.
Yeah. Honestly, you guys send in so many great stories that like I can't be mad when sometimes a theme doesn't land. We can figure it out.
Since we're talking about within these walls and first date stories, truly one of my favorite go-to bits when I'm in a crowd of people from Denver, but it's like not a crowd of people that I really know. It's like a mixed crowd. I always love joking about like, well, who hasn't had a weird date at City O City? And everyone's like, yeah. I actually think
it's big in the queer community.
Specifically, only people on weird first dates are eating at City O City.
Speaking of which, have you registered for the Big Gay 5K?
Nope. I'll do it.
You gotta do that.
/tomorrow.
If you live in Denver, come to the Big Gay 5K. We'll be there.
And cheer on Twink Pony Club.
Yeah, Twink Pony Club.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Someone had thought of a team name earlier, and I couldn't remember what it was. So I sent in the group chat. I was like, "What was our team name? Did anyone think of one?" And then no one responded for like 10 minutes. And I was like at the checkout page, and I was like, "If no one says anything in the next 5 minutes, it's gonna be Twink Pony Club." And then Grant was like, "Do it."
Approved.
And I was like,
"Don't even wait. Go right now before it times out." So we're talking about Willow.
We're talking about Willow and their first date. Okay. For this theme, movie magic, but can go along with anything that has to do with dates, movies, comedies, and most importantly, awkward situations.
Crucially, most importantly. Absolutely.
Yes. They said they would love to hear what y'all think of our very first date because, parentheses, oh my fucking God, and parentheses, it was so awkward, I've blocked out a lot of it. Parentheses, yikes. Please feel free to use the story on the podcast because it was certainly a hell of a funny story to my fiance and I now, but was horrifying in the moment. I'll try and give some context to the places and events that happened before the story takes place. But no, this was by far the most awkward first date I've ever experienced. Y'all deserve a shout out for continuing to do the podcast through all of what you have going through your lives. Some of the stories, episodes, gossip, cooking that y'all do also bring me joy and truly helped me when I moved away from my hometown for the first time. It's really such a blast to learn about topics that I wouldn't have found on my own. Also that y'all put in an insane amount of effort to put these stories together. I always appreciate the laughs, silliness, gossip, and joy that you two, parentheses, and all your friends in your circle, just like a big potluck, but instead of food, it's friends, bring to the table each week. Okay. Anywho, if you're a fan of Baywatch, great. Love that for you.
Okay.
We weren't fans.
Okay.
At least from the Baywatch movie that came out in 2017.
That's fair.
We are scarred and horrified by this experience and would rather not relive this one ever again. For this story, we go back to the summer of 2017. We both graduated from the same high school in Oregon and we're looking forward to college in the fall to bring new adventures, but also wanting to explore around our home state before college starts. We did not run in the same social circles, but we're in the same classes. At this point in our lives, Lee and I are both shithead 19-year-olds with a brand new sense of freedom from parental figures and wanting to make the most of the summer.
And it's so crucial that you do. How else are we going to staff ERs full of people?
Truly. See our last listener episode for that, for more on that. Prior to the occurrence of this date, some background is important. I'm going to summarize this. Basically, Lee and Willow wanted to go skiing the 4th of July because they had a family cabin in a nearby town of the mountain. And I think the mountain that they're going to is Mount Bachelor, which is in Washington. And then they also didn't stay in the same place together, which is also important to understand. I don't understand why.
So this is pre-date? They do all this before the date?
This is like set up for the date, I guess.
They're going to go skiing as their date? That's some Tyler-ass bullshit right there, if I can be so honest.
And look at what he's doing in his successful relationship. Grant's really quick to judge.
We're on Maine, so I can't share everything.
And my job doesn't care what I say about my little twink twas friends.
I support all happiness wherever we find it.
I was in a room today in my engineering job where all 3 people that were in this room were referring to their heterosexual partners in gender neutral terms. And I was like, wow, we really are changing the world.
Yeah.
And then someone said something weird about their wife, but it was like a 4th person that came in and it, they ruined the vibe. Anyway, sorry.
It's like watching a cat find her way out of the bag sometimes.
Thank you.
Anyways, now that I'm outside, didn't mean to be that dramatic.
Yeah. The name of my game is drama.
I love you.
Yeah. So enter Willow and Lee,
Good.
who are enjoying the fruits of summer skiing, the perks of what felt like a perfect regular season for skiing, along with a great opportunity to celebrate the 4th of July weekend. I don't think we're acknowledging the fact that 4th of July feels really late to go skiing.
Yes, agreed.
Like even in Colorado, I think our last resorts closed like maybe
June
a week
6th,
ago.
yeah.
Early June, late or mid-June at the very latest. July 4th is wild, but I guess it's Washington. The ski resort that we are most familiar with, Mount Bachelor, was reopening for the holiday weekend with a limited set of runs that stretched from the summit to the base of the mountain. What marketing intern proposed that?
So true.
Yeah, that's crazy. They reopened for 4 total days.
They're reopening for 4th of July.
Yeah.
If they don't call it the Mount Slushmore ski extravaganza, I know.
That has to be in
so
South
many
Dakota, though.
careers. Well, or you just like paint it onto the side of a wall. Like, I don't know.
How do we adjust Rainier or something? One of the whatever. Anyway, Bachelor. Okay. So 4 total days, and we made the most of it. We got there as soon as they opened each day and left when the snow was too sticky with the summer heat. With love, this is my nightmare. I'm on record. I hate a full day of skiing. I think the actual only reason I get a season pass like sometimes is because that gives us the ability to be like, okay, well, we'll ski half a day because we're not like wasting any of our days on our pass, A full day is an actual nightmare. Sorry. I'm proud of you. I'm happy that you had fun. Okay.
I just don't really like skiing that much anymore.
I just want to be at the bottom of the mountain at some point drinking a beer. Like do enough runs where your body is just tired enough to make it feel like that beer's worth it. And then that's it. That's it. I don't want to go back up.
Here's the thing. I did enough work on myself in my 20s to know that calories aren't a reward for exercise. And I would just much rather do the leisure activities that go along with skiing and not the terrifying at any minute you could break a
limb?
Yep.
Is that the word you were looking for?
In my mind, it was ligament, and I was like, I know that's not right.
I mean, also true. I had a friend tear her ACL. Okay.
So they're skiing.
Yeah, skiing. Before we went on the first official date that we agreed was a date, we both, that's a great way to say that.
Very queer.
Yeah. We both had our own ways to spend our days after we got off the slopes. Because remember, they're staying in different cabins. So I'd get back to my home base, change, and then go mountain biking. I'm sorry, is this Tyler emailing us under a different name? This is
Also, in a lot of ways, does feel like your Lee, too, is also messaging us in this moment.
Yeah. When we went to the hot springs last weekend, and I got up there in time for the hot springs, and that was pretty crucial to me. I was like, I don't care what you guys do before. I just need to know what time I need to leave here to get there in time for the hot springs. And I got there, and Tyler and his new partner, Tom, were like, oh, yeah, we ran just a chill 13 miles this morning. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Uphill.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, okay.
Ski in the morning, mountain bike in the afternoon. It's literally the perfect weekend.
This is wild to me. Okay, and then go mountain biking, float down the freezing cold river.
It's given they them hills.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up. That's so funny. Their pronouns are they, them, and then H. Which I think, yeah.
They them hills.
They them hills. Your pronouns, Willow, this is now canon, they them hills. Start addressing everyone as that, or start telling everyone to address you as that.
Sorry,
they them hills.
Too proud of it. I'm too proud of it.
That's good. I get back to my home base, change, and then go mountain biking, float down the freezing cold river. You're not selling this trip. Okay. Get a bite to eat or just lounge around. Parentheses, I did very little of this. What? If we weren't hanging out after we finished skiing, then Lee would go back to their family's log cabin to recuperate and then go out on a drift boat to either laze in the sun, fly fish, or to enjoy the gorgeous vistas of the Cascade Mountains that surround them. I'm much more on Lee's side right now.
Yeah.
That sounds pleasant. Okay, something that's important for later is to consider that we are 18 on this trip. As much as we'd wish to be in Europe to have a glass of wine, we didn't have access to alcohol, so we spent a lot of time outdoors or on adventures. On the hotter days that we'd spend together, we'd float the river together to enjoy the refreshingly cold water under the hot summer sun. We enjoyed this town since they had a hoppin' food scene. We would get some well-deserved and delicious lunch and dinner, stop at a local gelato shop, walk around the river path, and then finally drive Lee back to their family cabin, which was about 30 minutes away. After long days of skiing, food, and perusing what the town had to offer, we were exhausted. Even so, the chemistry between us was unrivaled. Grant's not convinced.
No. I just don't believe in it as a concept.
Interesting.
I know.
Who are you texting right now?
No one.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It felt a lot like the beginning of a Hallmark movie. Parentheses, but where's the twist? During these drives, we'd jam out to music, we gossiped about shitty people from high school, and then we'd plan out the next day's hangout or figure out date plans. As we know, going on a friend date can feel very different than going on a date, and we were very excited to go on our first date. Be us, 19, with a wild sense of adventure, plenty of whimsy, and our collective idea of trust love one more time. And go on
Willow, thank you. I'm so glad that's coming back. I love that episode.
And go on a dinner movie date. Gab here about dinner and movie dates.
Is that directions for us or for them?
I don't know. I hate a dinner date. I hate a movie date.
Well, how deep into it are you?
As a first or second date?
Oh,
no.
Awful.
Horrible.
Awful. As an 8th date?
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Actually, here's the thing. I have done only a handful. Like, we're talking single digits.
Yeah.
Maybe one hand number of, like, times. But
one hand?
Like, 5 or less.
You only used one hand?
Yep. To go to the movies.
Yeah, in the movie theater. It gets dark, you know?
What's extra funny for what I'm about to say next. Sometimes I would go on a movie date with this person and they would because the big loungers curl up and fall asleep during the movie. And it was actually like the most sweet and endearing thing possible. Because I was like,
they trust you.
And because they were going to be hungry when they woke up.
Hell yeah.
And that was a consistent theme. It was like, oh, thank God they went to sleep. We're gonna get sandwiches after this. Yeah, exactly.
See, we should just get married because we're always snacking.
I told you not until Casey dies and you inherit.
But you're gonna die around the same time Casey does. I'm pretty sure. Actually,
I know, but we're gonna get 6 incredible months.
Yeah, it's actually really true. Okay. So they went on a dinner movie date. Our optimal location was the St. Francis School.
Sorry.
That's a lot of N's and
McInnes?
M's. I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
McMenamins. It's McMenamins. McKennaman's Theater. Some background about this theater. In Oregon and Washington State, you got to stop using this word because I can't pronounce it. McMenamins.
The theater.
McMenamins existed as a multi-purpose company that preserves historically significant properties and uses their signature eccentric decor to accentuate this. If you're unaware of what these places look like, I'd recommend looking at them because they're ridiculous in their own way, but still a classic spot for our circle. These locations can have full-scale spas, distilleries, concert venues, glass workshops, gardens, vineyards, restaurants, and movie theaters. Willow, are you sure it's not a cult?
Yes, it sounds like a front to launder money.
We do have something not this big, but the Mayan Theater in Denver that is like a classic.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous
Art Deco.
old timey theater. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, back to the story. Since we were there for a good time and heard good reviews about a movie, but didn't want to spoil anything about it, we decided to watch Baywatch 2017. I'm actually really firm in the belief that not watching a trailer is good, but I can see how this one would
Here's the thing, though.
be uncomfortable.
If you're going on a date with a person and
You can have this experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Especially if this is a person that you've known for a while and you're trying to be like, well, we could, then a movie where everyone's basically naked the entire time isn't the worst setting to be in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It would be
you know what I
deeply
mean?
uncomfortable, though. I can
could
see
be,
that.
or could absolutely skip a couple of steps to just like kind of
I
speed
feel
the
okay not
process
saying
along.
anything about this because they're engaged now. So
So you and I are divided. I'm like, could be a nursery.
Yeah,
And
and
you're
I'm
like,
like-
or could be a garbage fire.
yeah, garbage can on fire. So they watched Baywatch 2017, and boy, was that a mistake.
Okay, well, so I was wrong.
We should absolutely have looked more into it before we decided that was the thing we wanted to go see on our first date. Here's what we knew about it. It was a comedy that took place on a beach, was about lifeguards, and quote, shot of people running sexily on the beach came from it.
Yep.
And it had an absolutely loaded cast. I mean, a lifeguard action comedy that had Zac Efron, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Alexandra Daddario, Hannibal Buress, and many other celebrities. Naturally, we didn't look more into it and assumed that it'd be a fun movie to watch for our first date while we ate some Cajun tater tots, non-adult beverages, and cozied up to each other on a vintage couch.
That's so cute.
That does sound
though.
very pleasant.
Wait, that sounds lovely. Is that what people are doing? I want that. Could you imagine?
No, I couldn't.
Continue.
The movie itself is about some very attractive lifeguards then becoming gang-busting undercover agents,
Oh, okay.
which I didn't know because I've never seen
I've
the movie.
also never seen the movie.
I've seen the slow-mo
so they
action
go
shot.
from beach cops to actual cops? That's kind of crazy.
I think that, yeah. The part that was not talked about in any reviews or trailers is that there are two separate incidents of dongs being out and handled by the actors.
I gotta get my hands on this movie. There's two different dick scenes.
Interesting. So Grant thinks that. I think hives all over my body.
You just rarely see those in major film cinema
I'm just
these
imagining
days.
sitting in a theater with my mom and being like,
For the first time in your life, like that seems like a crazy movie to pick. Sorry.
so fucked up. I was like, what do you mean? I get it.
I mean, listen, that does feel crazy, but it feels like the crazy started before you sat down for that.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry if
so
that was too
dongs
much.
out and handled by the actors.
What does handled mean, too, by the way? I just want to put that there. Continue.
Hand. Old.
Good.
Yeah, there you go. The first was a guy choking on food and then given an abdominal press by Alexandra Daddario, which was a Heimlich maneuver. We don't say Heimlich anymore, just FYI.
Oh, okay.
Okay, what do we say then?
Then they just say in that sentence?
They said Heimlich maneuver. We don't say Heimlich anymore, just FYI. So Heimlich maneuver instead of Heimlich, is that what that is? Or is the person who it was named after Heimlich now problematic? I need answers, and I'm going to need you to respond. Grant's not going to remember to put that in the email, but you're
Nope.
going to listen to this, and you're going to need to respond to the email and tell me what I'm supposed to say.
I am not going to.
Yeah, Grant, don't even worry about it. And then having his dong show up, fall forwards, and get stuck in a beach chair to be fished out by Alexandra Daddario.
What do you mean fished out?
Tits out and all. Hell yeah, girl, get your tits out.
Is it a porn? Did you go watch a porn?
Alexandra Daddario
As
is making
soon as there's tits, I'm like, gross. Put those away.
And I love all forms of bodies. I do
Ships
think
in the
dicks
night
are a little weird,
passing
though.
right now. To get caught in a chair.
Okay,
terrifying.
caught in a chair. I was thinking handled like sex scene. This is actually pretty traumatizing. That is like you could have actually made any body part be
Yeah.
stuck in that chair, and you made a
Ring
choice.
finger.
Yeah,
for instance.
you made a choice. Okay, tits out and all. Hell yeah, girl, get your tits out. As soon as this happened, we were stunned. We didn't dare to even look at each other, but slowly inched apart towards opposite sides of the couch from embarrassment of what we saw.
Okay, so they're sitting on the couch together.
Yes,
it's not like individual
it's not
chairs.
like one of the individual ones. Yeah,
Oh, that's actually kind of romantic. Wow.
yeah. A lot of times now at those theaters, that like if you get the right thing, the middle part comes up.
This is the first time I'm kind of said, I didn't know that. No,
Yeah.
I had no reason to know that.
He hasn't been on 8 dates. Is what we're learning.
No, I have not. Like historically, no, I have not.
He picks them quick and he settles down fast.
Fuck you for seeing who I am and saying it out loud to my face.
I'm putting it on your tombstone. I want you to know
Fix
because
them
we're gonna be
quick.
married when you die.
Fix them quick and settles them fast. second husband.
To trust love one more time.
Good.
Okay, they're slowly moving away from each other on the couch from the embarrassment of what we saw. The amount of tension and discomfort in this room was thick enough you could cut it and spread it on toast.
Good.
At this point, we knew we fucked up. But it's got to get better, right?
Definitely.
Spoiler, it doesn't.
There's just like so much nudity on scene.
Yeah.
And they're like aware of the romantic vibes and they're like, oh, that's a lot.
Okay, sorry. So enter Zac Efron, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and Alexandra Daddario. Sorry. So in the email, they actually named the actors and then just like put in parentheses their initials and then referred to them as their initials throughout the rest of the email. And so it's actually what it actually says is enter : ZE, TR, and AD. And so I was like, okay, Zac Efron and Alexandra Daddario, who the fuck is TE? Why did you not pick Dwayne and Johnson? You picked the from The Rock and Johnson. And honestly, Willow, I love that about you, but I did have to go scroll up to figure out who TR was. Okay, enter Zac Efron, The Rock, and Alexandra Daddario in a morgue to investigate how a thug was killed. How did they do this? ? By Zac Efron being, quote, tricked. Oh my God. Okay. You're going to want to skip forward like 30 minutes. We're going to talk about it. Sorry, 30 minutes.
You're going to want to just end the episode here.
30 seconds. We're going to talk about a body and a dog.
I don't feel good already. Go ahead.
I'm going to give him a fucking second. Okay, how did they do this? By Zac Efron being tricked into fondling a cadaver's whole ass thing on screen before they hide in the morgue on top of the pull-out drawers to escape detection. And then this isn't even parentheses, this is brackets. Bracket. I do think I blacked out at this point because I needed to look up whether or not the scene actually existed and wasn't just a fever dream.
Oh, wait, no, that's a dream.
Yeah. Something Grant said to me over the weekend, which was hilarious. Okay.
About a bald eagle.
Yeah. True. By this point, we were less interested in the movie than we were just wanting to escape and not be judged by the other person. We were like two positive magnets. We did not want to be sitting beside each other on our first date watching the bullshit of this fucking movie on a comfy and cozy couch in a theater with other strangers.
Right.
After all of this mess, I still needed to drive Lee back to their cabin.
It was too sexy. It was unsexy. I understand.
Yeah, and now a 30-minute drive in a probably silent car. To say that it was awkward would be an understatement. It was during that drive that, and this part is bolded and underlined, under no circumstances that we were to tell anyone that our first date was watching that fucking movie.
A lot of hate for Baywatch for it just to be a lot of dicks on the screen. I want to know what your thoughts on Game of Thrones were.
Traumatizing mention. It's not sex scenes though. It's just like traumatic encounters
one gets
with
caught
dicks
in a chair, and the other one's dead. Good.
Yeah. We would instead highlight the wonderful skiing that occurred and try our best to forget about the, quote, sights we endured for that movie. Luckily,
that's funny.
The rest of the week had enough positives to outweigh this horrible experience, parentheses, that we still wish we could forget. So we decided to trust love one more time in the hope that this was the worst it could get and it only go up from there. Anyways, we did have a happy ending in the end. We trusted love one more time, got engaged, and now live with our two adopted calico cats whose names are Aloe and Vera. Shut up. That's really cute.
They're calico too.
Yeah. One of our closest, sorry, we now live with our two adopted cats, comma, one of our closest friends, comma, and are living our best life. So as long as this movie stays in the shadows, I hope that you enjoyed the story of our worst first date and that your first dates are hopefully better than this shit show. Thanks, Willow and Lee.
And Willow and Lee, I just want to remind you guys of our offer at the top of the episode that we will attend weddings we are invited to.
Oh, yeah.
Summer's kind of booked, so
You literally-
get us up now. Get us up now.
Grant and I don't actually need anyone else that we know to be there. I want you to, there's a reason this podcast works, and it's that we fully entertain ourselves. And when my social battery is drained, Grant's totally okay talking with no response.
Yeah, I actually kind of prefer it. It just makes it easier to kind of put the thought together.
It felt a lot better. So the last time that this really happened was on the train to Munich, right? And Grant's reading his book, and he keeps like giggling and then kind of looking at me, and I'm like, I'm not fucking talking to you about your I've never felt more homophobic in my life. I'm not talking
goddamn little
to you.
gay book.
Yeah, goddamn little fucking homophobe book, or homophobic book.
Homoerotic nonsense.
Yeah.
It's very PG, the book I was reading.
Oh, yeah. But when we were camping, there was a similar situation where none of us wanted to leave the campsite, really. And it was like me and Jacob on one side of this picnic table and then Grant on the other. And Jacob and I are just kind of enjoying nature and being around, and Grant sitting there reading a book, and every once in a while he'd like giggle, and it just felt so much more natural to ignore him when Jacob was also ignoring him.
Well, at least on the train to Munich, like I would chuckle, and then I remembered that was pissing you off a little bit, so I would see if it had pissed you off a lot, and then I would continue to read. No, we don't need anybody else. We are happy to just entertain ourselves.
I love how much we're selling this right now.
And entertain each other.
Yeah.
I think if we actually got invited to a wedding, it would be the most incredible and special thing.
We should
in
pretend
the
that we're
entire
married,
world.
to be clear.
I can teach you a couple prayers if you need it.
I think I was in the Lutheran church for longer.
But who was damaged more by it? It actually might be you. You went to a Lutheran elementary school.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was actually a big part of my life.
Let's do that thing that I did in high school, which is I pretend I'm in a relationship with a woman, and then as soon as there's a man I'm interested in, I drop you.
That's fine.
The issue is
I actually love that because that'll give me time to people watch you and people watch everyone else.
Let's use your wedding ring for you.
Okay.
And use one of my Stanley Tucci wedding rings for me.
Yes.
And just have no one be like, that's the gayest ring I've ever seen on a man.
Yeah.
Ever.
And then you just hand it to me and I put it on like my thumb or something. And then.
Or better yet, I get him to take it off. Exactly. Oh, this would be a lot of fun. Have you seen, also there's this TikTok too, and it's like POV, you're in your 30s, so dancing like a middle-aged woman is now part of your personality. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't seen this.
I'm going to force you to watch this real quick.
Okay, that seems fine.
As I pull it up,
Willow and Lee, I'm going to need pictures of your wedding.
We're increasingly serious.
I am actually very invested in your relationship now after this Baywatch fiasco.
Listen, if any of my students are still listening this deep into the episode, you've earned the right to learn this.
I can only see one of your students listening this far deep.
I don't think you've actually met the student that I'm probably talking to right now. Yes. I have learned that if I force my students to watch the TikToks I have saved and that I think is funny,
they'll actually do their work.
They'll disperse almost instantly.
That's so hurtful and also so funny.
It's so funny. They're like, this is the cringiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I need to get out of here.
And do my work.
Right. So anyways, this is the TikTok.
Oh my God. I love that it's the most recent thing that you've liked.
It's actually what I've reposted. I'm going to let you play it so it's near you so you can see it, but I want to be able to watch it too. It's funny to me. Dancing like a middle-aged woman. And then what's the rest of it? It's now part of your personality.
Yeah, it's now part of your personality. Yes. A redhead and a twink.
What? No, there's a third one.
Oh my God.
A lesbian.
Yeah, a lesbian. That vest says a lot.
What no one appreciates, and that's it. It's going to repeat for the next minute so they can monetize.
No, that seems fair. We do the same thing.
What I love so much is that when you dance like a middle-aged woman, there's so much pointing involved.
There's a lot of pointing.
And then when you're not pointing, your face is saying, yeah, I've dartied before. I've day partied, right?
I don't anymore, but I've been here.
Listen, either my hands are pointing towards you or you can see my front teeth. I am a predator.
Or I am absolutely just looking up at the ceiling, ignoring everyone else. That's what I do.
I want you to remember this conversation so that way on Sunday, when I send you a video from the reception, you get the bit that I'm doing.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
100%.
Good. 100%. Is it my turn for the story?
Yes.
Good. Fun.
Whew.
Okay, so this is just kind of like unabashedly a bump in the night story, but we got so many wonderful bump in the night stories. You might be hearing
bump in the night for like the next year and a half.
Yeah.
Actually, just keep sending them in.
We might be bumping it to bump in the night.
That was bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, look at Monet's little toes.
You're going to get a double win here.
Okay.
Hi,
Yes.
Maia and Grant.
Yes!
In parentheses, I gotta support women in male-dominated fields. Second
Fuck
parentheses, podcasting. End of parentheses, end of parentheses.
It's true. I've been doing a lot of research on it.
Good. Great. Love it.
It's a lot of men, shockingly, because our audience is all women. And I think most true crime stories do. True crime pods do.
Finally, a field men can excel in. Stating opinions without any research.
That's sad.
I lost you. I lost some of them. Brought them all back, though. Okay. So you can use my name and pronouns. Vic, she, her. My bestie and I, fellow Coloradans, have been listening to the pod since the beginning.
Wow.
But this is my first time writing in, besides correcting Maia about how do you say it? Prokaryotes and
Prokaryotes.
And
Eukaryotes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was not my finer moment. I was decently inebriated. I'm sorry.
Second parentheses. I'm really sorry about that, by the way.
Thank you. What's her name again? Sorry.
Vic.
Vic. I mean, like, I'm hurt, but you're forgiven because I was wrong.
I wanted to write in for Bump in the Night, though I didn't know anyone personally involved in this incident.
This is the best gossip.
It was a school-wide incident.
Oh my God.
Sorry, school-wide scandal that did
Better.
technically affect me and was very recent. I will keep the school and people anonymous, but there still definitely be enough details to look it up.
Hell yeah.
So I go to a small college in a pretty chill town. What's your guess?
I have literally
here.
no idea because I don't follow college sports.
Beep. We're back. Okay.
We submitted our guesses to each other.
Can't wait to find out which one it actually is.
Yeah.
So I go to a small college in a pretty chill town. It's a very cool place and not much seems to happen there, except last spring when there was an arsonist on the loose terrorizing our campus for about a week.
Oh, a week? What the fuck do you mean a week?
Maybe terrorizing is dramatic, but it was still wild.
An arsonist even doing anything on campus for an entire week is terrorizing, I think.
I have a book to recommend for you.
Jesus
I want you to know
Christ.
that's not like it's funny, but it's also true. If arson really interests you, I would check out the book American Fire. It's wonderful.
Is it nonfiction?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm interested.
You can rent
needs
it
to come
from
in audible form.
you can rent it from the Grant Thomas Library if you would like.
I don't do as well reading nonfiction in real form.
I hear that. I want it as a
I have
podcast.
to listen. Yeah, I have to listen to it.
One Sunday, early in March of 2024, I was in the dorms and heard sirens. Quote, what could that be, you ask? Well, it turns out early in the hours of that morning, somebody had set fire to the large press box at the football field.
What?
This is where the filming, scoreboard, loudspeakers, and screen are all controlled during the games. Now, I was pissed because I played Division II lacrosse here, and there was days before our first game was supposed to take place on this field. Okay, so the fire happens right before season opener.
Okay.
This was very inconsiderate of the arsonist. There was a widespread manhunt for the arsonist, but nobody was found. Well, at least that was the end of the arson, right?
Oh no.
Wrong.
No.
Late that night, I was in my dorm and I heard a large bang, kapow
No.
type of noise, which
No.
means she's actually in a Cartoon Network karate movie.
Or experiencing a horrible event.
Yeah, I just have never once seen someone spell out the word kapow.
That's actually super fair. Okay, fair. Fair.
I remember thinking to myself, quote, who the hell is setting off fireworks?
Oh.
But it must not have worried me too much because I fell asleep shortly thereafter.
Shocking to me.
I get that, though.
I do. After living in Denver for long enough.
Yeah. Also, in college, your sleep schedule is so unregulated. You're like,
Your body is just like, actually, we need to stay asleep.
right. Your body's like, do I smell gas? Does make me kind of droopy though, and then just like immediately asleep.
When Casey and I were living in our first apartment together, we had like those 11-foot high ceilings. It was like an industrial apartment, like, I don't know, apartment. And it had like concrete walls, all of that. But the ceilings were like 11 feet high. And so we had a fan in our bedroom, and I like having a fan in my bedroom when I go to sleep because I
Right.
like the air. Right. And so it's just like kind of always on, especially when we're asleep. asleep. And at one point, the fan started like sparking and like going really fast. And I remember so distinctly Casey waking me up and being like, hey, like what? Or not waking me up, but like assuming I was awake, which I kind of was, and was like, should we do something about that? And my dead ass, honest to God reaction was like, if this is how I go, this is how I go. And I fell back asleep.
And he was like, I'm going to marry this girl.
And I'm months away from buying a ring. I think he got up and turned the fan off, and then it was fine, and we called maintenance the next day. But I was like, I was totally okay dying. That I prioritized sleep over death.
Good. So did Vic.
I get Vic.
Because come the morning, she found out that the quote fireworks had actually been the sound of a police car exploding.
Oh my God.
Very cool. Very, very rebel of you. Very definitely a felony. Very what's going on?
Oh my God.
Yes, a parked police car on campus had been set on fire and literally exploded. Nothing was left afterwards but the blackened frame of the SUV. I've attached a picture which you can show. Nobody was hurt. Here's the car. It's very much blown up. It's very much been on fire.
I could have definitely figured out the location from that photo. It's fine.
What? Really?
Yeah.
How?
I've been there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's no offense.
Vic, I did,
a generic mountain in the background. What
I
do you
did
mean
look it up, and so we do know now where you went to college. Sorry if that's weird. But I also
you wrote into us. You challenged us.
I showed videos from a woman's Facebook account, like not that many episodes
Included
ago.
it in show notes.
I don't have limits.
So now everybody was really talking. I love how they weren't before when you just set the football field on fire.
But now the police, they're like, okay, interesting.
Who did this and what was their motivation? Did they hate the football team? Was their record really that bad that they deserved arson?
Shut the fuck up.
It definitely could have been.
Yeah.
Did they hate the lacrosse team? Unlikely. Most people don't even know we have one. Did they hate the police? More likely, understandable.
Yeah.
Was it one person or multiple people? So many questions, which would soon be answered by the perpetrator's capture. It took them 5 days to find him, which feels like a long time for an arsonist walking free on your campus.
It does, but I can also understand. I understand why that's difficult. Oh, God, there's another sentence that's making
I want you to
go off.
remind that the arsonist like crippled the police officer's ability to do their job because he blew up their car.
Oh, shut up.
They didn't find him. He turned himself in.
In arson? I mean, okay, that town
No one
is
died.
really small.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Well, I got to pay back the repairs and damages.
Yeah, that's like a county sheriff.
Community
you know?
service.
Yeah.
They were able to
Jesus
identify him
Christ.
as a student from security footage, but they
Oh.
didn't arrest him until he turned himself in on Thursday following a phone call from his mom to the police.
So, wait, sorry. They identified him as a student.
Mm-hmm.
So did they
Didn't know
identify?
anything else.
So they didn't identify him.
Correct.
Okay. The way that I interpreted that was wrong. That they identified him from the security footage, but then didn't arrest him until he turned himself in.
No,
Okay,
I think
this
they're
makes,
like, it's
that
a
makes more
student.
sense.
And then I think mom called police. And
We're
then
like,
at that
hey.
point, he was like, oh, I have to turn myself in now.
Okay.
As a reminder, the fires were on Sunday. He then confessed the full story. He described himself as a pyromaniac. He had made some homemade M80 bombs at home over winter break, then brought them back to school.
How?
Storing them in his dorm desk.
How? This is a scene from The Office where they're going up
That's
to
so
Utica and they're like, Dwight throws Jim's phone out the door, so they have to like stop, and then they're like showing Jim what's in the trunk, and it's Molotov cocktails. And Jim at this point knows it's not worth arguing with Dwight, so he just turns to Michael and is like, we've been driving with this the whole time.
I got a text from someone in our 11-person group text
That's a lot of people.
asking me,
Oh, no.
what is a Molotov cocktail and why is this person wasting liquor? And I was like,
Oh.
it's a summer. You're ready to party.
What?
I guess he was never subject to the random dorm checks we were supposed to be having. In parentheses, but honestly, was anyone subject? My RA never even gave me my checkout paperwork. He said he had set one off at the campus frisbee golf course next to the dorms earlier in the semester. Don't know how nobody noticed that, but okay.
Frisbee golf, yeah. This town, while in the mountains, is very flat, like shockingly flat. Yeah.
I'm not sure about his motive, but I don't really think there was one besides general pyromania.
Yeah, that's wild. Is pyromania something you can be diagnosed with? I need to know. Oh, no.
It's great. You know how sometimes your eyes can see like a bigger word coming up?
And
so
you're like,
just, you just take a second to pre-read it, right? For instance, pyromania and pyromaniac were definitely pre-read before I said them out loud. Here comes the next one. He said he had been extremely high on 12-2-13 Xanaxes when he committed the arson.
To commit an arson while on Xanax is crazy.
12-13 Xanaxes, to be specific. Maybe enough to actually stop every muscle in your body. Even horses are like, I don't need that much tranquilizer.
That's wild. I've taken a singular Xanax in my life, and it was... We're deep enough in the episode.
Go ahead. No,
I started thinking about the logistics of this.
Let me go and sip this gin, which has made us really loose lip this episode.
I was at my very first internship in Rhode Island, and it was towards the beginning of the internship, aka I knew like none of these people, but we were at a dinner, and the dinner was not anywhere near done, but I had like a horrible, horrible headache. And at this point, I was not 21. I believe I was 19. But you know, at company dinners.
I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And so also what happened is one of my coworkers' wives was like, well, when I get a headache, I usually just take a Xanax. Do you want one? And I went, what the fuck? And then I
would have said yes.
Oh, and I did.
Good. Okay.
I was still like not super comfortable with the idea of anything other than alcohol at this point, but the headache was so bad that I was like, interesting take. Yeah, that I didn't want to commit arson. I actually wanted to like go home and lay down a little bit. And also my ex-boyfriend was super into Xanax. Apparently they're nicknamed flowers.
There's a lot of information.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm gonna go ahead and turn off that faucet.
I took a little treat and am now drinking gin, so I don't know what you wanted from me.
Our little pyromania, after taking 12-13 Xanaxes,
that's crazy,
broke the window of the press box using a rock and a screwdriver, then oh my God. Sorry. Then poured in a cooler's worth of gasoline, which he obtained from the gas station 30 seconds away from campus. Kind of feels like you failed on the detective work there.
Yeah, what?
Then he lit that bitch on fire.
He was not a good arsonist.
In Vic's defense, she says, and lit it up. But like, come on, you poured a gas station's worth of gasoline.
Yeah.
He actually was disappointed with the results and returned later that day to try again.
What?
But was scared off by seeing a police car. He thought a parked police car would be then an easier target. He went to the gas station again to refill.
Oh my God!
To refill his cooler with gasoline.
His cooler?
Yes.
This thing didn't have a screw top?
He doesn't even have a gas tank. It's just like an igloo orange cooler.
Like a bad cooler that has like,
he's duck walking it around.
That's so fucking funny.
That night, he drove to the parking lot where the police car was parked. Then he stopped. Sorry, it's funny because no one gets hurt too.
Yeah.
Then he strapped 2 of his M80s to the sides of the cooler before lighting it up and exploding the police car.
Was he happy with this one? Did he feel satisfied? I need to know.
She goes, he wants to be the Unabomber so bad.
And is doing a bad job of it, by the way.
Also, rest in peace to the truck parked next to the police car. It didn't deserve that.
They deserved more time.
They always do.
Yeah.
He fled the scene on foot, swam across the physical
What?
plant maintenance pond, fully clothed, again, high on Xanax. Then went to his dorm to shower, change, and go back to retrieve his car. But then he was literally fleeing the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
He was pulled over by the police. The kicker here is that he was let off with a warning, even though he said he was sure he'd be caught since his car reeked of weed.
But he turned himself in.
His car reeked of weed. He's underage, and his car also smells like gasoline. And he was, again, say it with me, high on Xanax.
Oh my God. That's...
Vic, great story, Vic. Once he turned himself in, he was jailed within these walls.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, of course he was.
Within the walls
bumping
of
the
this...
night of these walls. He was jailed with a $100,000 bail and wasn't allowed within a mile of the college.
Oh my God. Also, a mile is not that far.
No, you can light so many other things on fire.
Yeah, like the mountains.
I was considering why he turned himself in, but then I understood, because if I committed a crime, my anxiety is too bad to wait around for them to catch me.
And, you would get pretty paranoid in that situation.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
actually don't know what became of him, but he was charged with first-degree arson, criminal mischief, and a bunch of other things. Anyways, that's my bump in the night, or rather kaboom in the night
Kaboom!
story for y'all. I've been waiting to write in with something interesting, so I hope you enjoyed. Remember, anything can happen anywhere. Love y'all and the podcast. Thanks.
Vic, that was an incredible story.
Kind of a great way to end the night too.
I have another one.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Great. What a way to set up the last one for the end of the night. Sandi.
So this is from our friend Sandi. She, her, you can use my name. The only secrets are mine.
Even I can't rise to that. So good for you.
That's good. I've been a long-time listener, but missed a few episodes along the way. So for context, listener, this email came in December. So it's been a while, but we're finding it. We're getting to it. So yesterday I was catching up on episodes 25 and 26, Influential Secrets. It was right before Halloween when you recorded and you were talking about horror movies, specifically The Poltergeist.
Sure.
Immediate flashback for me to 1980-something when I was maybe 10 or 11 at a sleepover. The party was with one of my friends and her very cool older sister. We were going to stay up all night watching movies, which sounded amazing to me. We started with Grease. Parentheses, look at me, I'm Sandra D, has followed me since. And then...
Yeah, I could see Sandi having that experience.
Yes. Mine is Maia, Maia, and everyone thinks they're original. I swear to God. Every single person is like, have you ever heard that before? Yes, I fucking heard that before. Lydia did it this weekend.
Grant's not in any songs.
Yeah. Well, granted.
Nice.
Thank you. Okay. So they watched Grease, and then after her parents went to bed, her sister brought out the VHS rented horror movies. That night, we watched Firestarter, where a young blonde girl can cause spontaneous combustion.
Hell yeah.
And Poltergeist.
Get your tits out, girl.
Yes. And Poltergeist, where a young blonde girl was possessed by spirits that come from the static on her television.
Get your tits out, girl.
I want you to know, I've only ever I don't watch horror movies because they freak me the hell out.
Right.
I did watch this version of the Poltergeist, I think, and I watched it. It was probably late 2010, early 2010s at the very latest. I think it was probably in the 2000s. And I remember that this horror movie was so scary and also so unbelievable because the effects were so not good that I think the entire time I was like, oh, yeah, that's a puppet, you know?
Did you ever watch The Ring?
No.
That's the one where she comes out of the television, right? I think so. I'm like
Poltergeist,
90% sure.
She also comes out of a television.
I was watching The Ring with some friends in middle school at a sleepover, and the remote was like towards the end of the couch, and someone like moved and their foot like hit the remote and like turned off the television.
Oh no.
And everyone was like, oh wow, like Maia, like, oh wow, Maia, like you're too afraid to watch the movie or whatever. Anyways, movie never came back on.
Yeah.
Like
everyone was like, oh thank God.
But the actually funny thing too is like, in my mind's eye, at least, it was like very clearly an accident.
Yeah.
Like it's like it would have been hard to do that intentionally.
Yeah.
But
everyone was kind of like, thank God.
No idea how that movie finishes.
Yeah. My coworker that I really like, the older one that surprised me by using gender neutral terms, he just got an iPad today. It's from the company. It's so that they can walk around. The people who need to be on site on the floor a lot more can still access like the things online without needing to bring their laptop in. And this man was, I've never seen anyone more upset to get an iPad in their entire life.
Correct.
He was like, can you just set that up for me before I get back? And I was like, I thought it was a new laptop because our company also goes through these phases of sending out new laptops to everyone. And I was like, I will absolutely not be helping you because every time anyone that I know has ever gotten a new laptop, it has not gone according to plan. So it will not be. If I knew it was an iPad, maybe I would have volunteered. But he kept being like, oh no, I can't finish this right now. And then putting it down and then realizing he could finish this right now, like the setup of the iPad. And then finally one of my other coworkers was like, well, actually, you need that information from so-and-so who's not here anymore. And he went,
perfect.
Oh no. Anyway.
I so deeply identify. Protect this man. Protect this man.
Oh, no. I am 100% protecting this man.
Good.
Okay. So Poltergeist and Firestarter are the two movies they watched. And Firestarter has a young girl who can cause spontaneous combustion. In the Poltergeist, there's a young girl who is possessed by spirits that come out of the static of her television.
Good.
So imagine who was the young blonde girl with a vivid imagination. My two greatest fears around that time were fire, parentheses, a friend's house had recently burned down. They were safe, but the entire situation terrified me. Rightfully so.
Yeah, naturally.
And then that's the end of the first email.
Oh, okay.
And then the second email starts and it says, parentheses, sorry, I did the premature send thing. Just continues as nothing happened. Okay. And my other fear was demons and ghost possession. Parentheses, thanks, religious upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Over the next few months, maybe years.
Oh.
I harbored a secret fear that perhaps I was capable of starting fires with my mind. Now you know why I read this one.
That's great. That's great.
And that maybe the poltergeist lived in my TV to find me at any times there was static. This was the 1980s, and it predates both of you, but in the olden days, in rural Ontario, I cannot imagine a worse place to have witnessed these horror movies. Ontario, we only had 4 channels, 3, 7, 11, and 16 PBS. All the other numbers were static. So to get between 3 and 7, you had to go up to the TV and click a turning knob to pass the static numbers on 4, 5, and 6. And there's no way to avoid the static, which I believed might be summoning a ghost. It's like running up or down the stairs from the basement after turning the lights off, you know? So as a teenager, I would often babysit past midnight. And when programming ended, there was the national anthem, a color striped screen, and then static. While I was alone in a rural house, miles from anyone, parentheses, okay, maybe not miles, but at least a few hundred feet.
Yeah, felt real isolating.
Yeah, it felt like a long distance. There were so many fire nightmares. And being afraid to think mean things about my friends because that friend I mentioned whose house burned down. I mean, this is starting to sound really dark, but honestly, I was a delightful child most of the time. I didn't always obsess about my possible imaginary witchcraft powers, although it was a bit fun when I was feeling brave and tried to make my friends believe the stories were about me. And I've gotten some therapy. Good for
Crazy
you.
how that changes the game, you know?
It really does. It really, really does. I'm attaching pictures so you can see why my imagination may have led me to believe I had something in common with both of these two young blonde tortured main characters. And I never watch horror movies now, and I do identify with Elphaba in Wicked. That seems unrelated, but I respect it. Thanks for the constant entertainment. I do love waiting to see what random thing you are going to talk about next. Merry Christmas, because it's from December. And stay away from old TVs. XO, Sandi.
I can't say that I have harbored a fear that I contain supernatural powers.
This is her and the child from the
Hold on. That
Poltergeist.
actually is really good. That makes sense to me. That photo's fantastic.
And this is her and the one from Firestarter.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I will say this, though. You don't have to share if you don't want. Have you ever feared that you had a disease that was going to be so terrible you didn't even want to get like tested for it or anything?
Depression, yeah.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in this week. We always appreciate. Wow.
Halfway through that sentence, I was like, this is going to be good.
Go ahead and ask me that question now.
And you?
AIDS. But here's why that's funny. Here's why that's funny. It's funny for this very specific set of circumstances. Lincoln Public Schools did a job of educating us about HIV/AIDS. I wouldn't say did a good job, but since it was the aughts, they at least mentioned it, which is more than other places did.
Good.
But I was like, got it. So like you get cursed and then you die a
Forever.
painful death. And that's it. And what's super wild about that is by the time I'm learning about HIV/AIDS, like an antiviral set of medications exists to like make it essentially a manageable disease.
Yeah.
And that meant like in college, anytime I like, listen, it did not matter how innocent it was. If I like made out with a guy on a first date.
You were like, that's it.
That
I'm done.
night, I was like, I can't believe I got HIV tonight. What do I even do? Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you anymore. How am I supposed to live my life this way? Like
I can't even create beautiful art to express my death.
They don't even do the quilt anymore. Like, I'm not joking. It took me like years to be like, this is ridiculous. Information is power. You don't secretly have this hidden inside you, right? Like this is a thing that does happen to people, and you should be then aware of that. But like, it doesn't happen this way, babes. Like
in my case, it did because it was depression.
But it wasn't a like lifelong illness or the ability to set things on fire with your mind.
I was like, lifelong illness, maybe. Set things on fire with my mind, definitely not.
Like the evidence for fire starting and HIV/AIDS was both pretty light and
Basically
deeply antithetical. Yours, however. There were signs.
Ones that everyone was ignoring, including myself. I like to think I came out of the closet too with depression.
And during fucking Pride Month.
You're welcome.
And what's crazy is you actually did come out of a closet, but you're like, the real closet was my mental health issues.
I don't know if I ever officially came out of a closet ever. I think at one day I was just like, I'm bi.
Yeah, I think, no, truly,
Yeah.
that's how you came out to us. You at one point just mentioned it in a conversation, and all of us were like, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then Danny,
in many ways, I've assumed that.
And then Danny's like, name 5 girls you've kissed. I was like, what the fuck?
Jump through my hurdles, or I will not bestow upon you the reed of homosexuality.
At one point at one of his parties, he introduced me to someone, and he was like, you're both bi. You can talk about that, right? And I went, Danny, what the fuck?
I'm just so deeply moved because in my mind, the way my mind filters that story is, Grant, you do such a good job hosting parties. It's proof for others that it's hard to do it well.
Yeah. Not Danny introducing me to 2 complete strangers.
Because you're just basically like, well, Maia may introduce you to a woman. Enjoy.
Yeah. I know that you're married.
Oh, I have another friend who's bisexual but married to a man. Maybe you know her, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I was like, you know nothing about me. Not even my favorite color.
Shashira Zameda was on SNL for several years. And she has this stand-up special. And she has this joke about how she had a roommate in college who was a Korean foreign exchange student. And this, her roommate kept asking her if she knew various people around campus. And she kind of started to piece it together from like the names, and sometimes she did recognize the person. One day she looks at her roommate and she goes, "Are you just asking me if I know every black person on campus because I'm black?" And her roommate goes, "Yes." And she goes, "That's kind of messed up. Like, I'm not asking you if you know every Asian student on campus." And she goes, "I do."
You know what? As someone that's been on a college campus,
I know, right?
With a heavy Asian presence, fair enough.
Between that and I saw another TikTok of this woman who was like, "So my daughter came home with a letter from the school today saying, 'Congrats, your daughter is bilingual and we would like to sign her up for a bilingual class.'" And I was like, "My daughter's not bilingual." So I called her up and I was like, "What are you bilingual in?" And her daughter was like, "I can speak Hindi." And she was like, "Babes, you can't." And she was like, "Yes, I can." And her mom was like, "Prove it."
Yeah.
And so then she just started to speak English with a Hindu accent.
No.
And she goes, "Granted, that means she was just impersonating my husband / her dad. But it also means that her school did not actually investigate when she was like, 'I speak Hindi.' They were like, 'Yes, you do.'"
Yeah. Get your tits out.
"It's not appropriate for me to ask for proof, but we would like to sign you up for a class that's half in Hindu. How does that sound?"
She was like,
her mom's like, "No,
you can't fucking do that." And now I look like a bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's absolutely giving. When I was growing up, my mom had to stand next to my chair at the barbershop so that way she could stop me from sharing secrets, because I would say literally anything for attention.
What?
Yeah. My
Also, the fact that you don't have hair makes the story even funnier. Yeah.
I actually thought a lot about
No
your
hair
comment.
and on a podcast.
The thing that I shared in the Patreon the other day about this person who I was romancing when I was in college, and you go, "You were polling with hair in college?" And I go, yes, because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, because I've seen pictures of Grant and it's not
It's rough.
good.
It's rough.
Yeah.
This look now works a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, my nickname as a child was the Sponge because people would say things around me and I would hold on to it because I didn't have a lot of peers my age.
Should really listen to... Sorry, I'll let you
ahead.
finish your sentence.
I didn't have a lot of peers my age, so when people would say things to me, I'd hold on to it. And then when I was around other adults, I'd be like, "Apple, it's a family secret." What were you going to say?
You learned... That's evolution right there. I want you to know. That's evolution working.
Yeah, 100%.
You should listen to that book I've been listening to from About Gossip by Kelsey McKinney.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't hear this from me. It's actually like so good, and I feel like
It's going to be on this?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I like her. 15% of our listeners, according to the survey, listened to that podcast. She just stepped down as host.
Okay.
But yeah, no, the book is really good.
I thought you were going to give me something specific from the book, just like in general.
She grew up in a religious upbringing, and so there's one of the early chapters is about how she always felt like gossiping was a sin, but she loved it so much that she was like, "How can it be a sin? It's something I enjoy."
Me with my own identity. Yeah. She's like, "How could this be wrong?"
And it's just her love of gossip. Anyway.
Oh, this has been a good episode.
Yeah, we got some good stories.
Find us on social media where we are Well I Laughed. Submit your stories for famous feuds and
They were roommates.
To our email, wellilaughdpod@gmail.com, or online on our website, wellilaughed.com. You can find additional content on Patreon where we produce an additional episode every week. And you can request a cameo, perhaps for a nursery or for
a flaming
honeymoon.
garbage can.
Exactly. Where we are on Cameo. And then finally, new thing to add to our speech, let us know if you want us to come to your wedding.
Yeah.
We would love to consider it.
Really depends on our schedules.
Summer's pretty booked right now. It's a pretty tight summer. But let us know. You never know when we're going to be in town. And so with that, friends, I had a great time.
I had a great time too.
I laughed.
I did too.
Amazing.
Okay, bye. Love you.
Bye.